Great news, everybody. Crime nationally has fallen to just a third of what it was at a week or so ago. That is amazing news. Country has been plagued by this crime wave, but now it's almost gone. And I can state that inferring from the fact that Fox's coverage of crime has dropped to just about a third what it was about a week ago. You can see their daily crime segments there, or I think that might be a weekly number there. But 193 segments just 2 weeks ago, dropping to 71 and then 74 after. And the reason that I feel confident using these numbers is Fox News's coverage of crime is always in line with the actual crime that we're seeing. It's not like a designed narrative or anything. They go out there, they see what crime there is, and their coverage reflects that. And so it's improved quite a bit. It's down 63% from 2 weeks ago. That's awesome. Now, while they were just reflecting the actual reality, they did use it as a cudgel against the Democrats in the weeks leading up to the election, implying that regardless of what you might think about crime, it is their fault. Because after all, Democrats control the cities and every Democrat wanted to defund the police. And so it's on them, even though nothing that I just said is accurate. Brett, what do you think? It was good times for America. It had been rough in terms of violent crime for a while.
That was great. All it took was the Democrats to essentially do better than expected and retain the Senate for crime to drop off. So they must lose that tool in their shed when looking at ways to cudgel Democrats in the future. So I'm glad that now that, and I trust them. I trust the people at Fox News to only cover things based on how big an issue it is at that time, not relative to elections, but relative to humanity. So I'm glad that when crime, I haven't checked the crime statistics, but it seems like they have dropped off based on that coverage. So good on you, Fox. Another big win for them in being honest and forthright, fair and balanced.
It's possible that criminals were as shocked by the midterm results as everyone else, and they were just like, I don't even want a crime right now until I process, at least see what happens in the Georgia runoff. Then I'll get back to criming. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. A lot of elections, they change things up so much that migrant caravans just don't form immediately after elections. That's historically what happens. People take it easy after the election ends. But anyway, look, again, none of this is to say that there isn't an issue. There's very much an issue, and it is on governments, local, state, and federal governments to deal with crime. But we also have to be accurate in reflecting where the crime is. Some big cities do have big increases in crime over the past couple of years. That is definitely true. It's true in LA, it's true in New York, it's true in a few places. But it's also true that on average, a lot of red states, rural areas have more per capita crime. That doesn't mean that you should not talk about the crime in cities, but your coverage should be reflective of what's actually going on. And with Fox, it's not. And things like crime should be talked about in the run up to elections. But it's also clear that, like with the migrant caravans, that's not why they're actually doing it. And the gap between why they say they're doing it and why they're actually doing that is not just a rhetoric, that doesn't just have stakes or implications rhetorically. If they don't actually care about this and don't actually talk about it in a way that's reflective of reality, do you think that they're going to be pressuring the new Republican Congress to do something about this? If it's based on a true policy concern versus it just being a political weapon, how does that impact the way they're going to address government going forward? These are, I think, important questions. And great job by Media Matters in continually updating us on, in this particular case, it's the coverage of crime on Fox News, but they do a great job of making sure that we know how the media is talking about things, whether it's immigration or the climate change, a lot of topics like that. So definitely check out Media Matters.
And just to crystallize how this works, you know how like when you're planning your year, you think to yourself, all right, so if you have kids, the kids are on summer vacation, that's reliably gonna happen, school will be out. I've got this day off, I got Christmas off, and I've got Thanksgiving off, and I've got the 4th of July off. In news, they have, all right, in the run up to an election, I'm going to obviously cover these stories. When spring break happens, I'm gonna talk about the spring breakers at Fox News and how they're all godless communist nudists and they're ruining children. Like that is the lazy, easy, dependable news cycle yearly and twice, biannually.
I think that's right.
That they function on, and Media Matters also knows that. So I'm sure at Media Matters, they're like, all right, so after the election, we're gonna run that story about how they don't cover crime anymore. And they're like, yeah, we've already got that on the calendar.
Yeah, maybe.
It's so reliable.
There are things that it makes sense to talk about more. We've talked a lot more about certain political candidates in the run up to the election than we would normally, but we also don't pretend that that means that Herschel Walker is worse right now than he normally is. I think he's this bad always. We're just talking about him more because, the election's coming up. Anyway, we'll see long term if they return to this. I have a feeling they probably will in the 6 months leading up to the 2024 election.